So hey guys, today we have Zahid Khan and he's having almost 4 years of experience in Java and Spring Boot. So hey, hi Zahid, how are you?
I'm good, Faizan. How are you?
I'm also good. So is my voice clear to you?
Yes.
Okay. So shall we start?
Yes, Faizan.
Yeah, can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. So my name is Zahid. I have 4 years of experience. I have worked with Spring and Java particularly, and I have worked over a lot of projects during my 4 years of experience.
Yeah. So can you please tell me your recent project on which
hmm
you have working?
So my recent project was working on the HR system, where
Mm-hmm.
we were providing the facilities for the
Mm-hmm.
use clients, and it was like entirely about the HR systems, payrolls, hirings,
Okay.
terminations, dealing with all that.
Okay. So it's based on Java and Spring Boot, right?
Yeah,
Okay. So which Java version?
I we are currently using Java 17.
Oh, nice. So can you please tell me like what are the new changes added in Java 17 that were not
So
before?
the latest features that are added are uh, records.
Mm-hmm.
Records are there, parameters, uh, pattern matching is there. Like before, we used to have
Mm-hmm.
if we used to check if some instances of some different class, then we had to create
Mm-hmm.
a variable of that, and then we
Okay.
can use that. Now everything is like we can do pattern matching a lot better.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Records, yeah,
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, and which Spring Boot version?
3,
Okay, and what's the latest Spring Boot version that's going on?
3.0.3, something similar.
Oh, okay. So, what's the process that you need to follow to run a Spring Boot application? Can you please uh,
So,
tell
uh,
us?
so we need to go to the Spring initializer, have our
Uh-huh.
dependencies, whatever we want. And
Uh-huh.
once we have that clean build, if we are using the Maven, then we have to choose which build system we have to use, whether Gradle or
Okay.
Maven, and accordingly we can proceed forward. Is Gradle clean build or Maven clean
Mhm.
install, and so on. Yeah.
Okay, so what are the specific configuration settings required for a Spring Boot application?
Mm, as such, there is no specific, but we can specify the port. Port is the one, and
Okay.
we need to configure like in the POM file.
Mm-hmm.
Tomcat is needed. Basically, server is needed.
Yeah. Any dependency
Uh,
other than this?
mm, uh, there, no, I don't think there's anything else needed.
Okay. Okay. So how you manage different profiles and environments
So,
in your project?
so we create different profiles. So based
Mm-hmm.
on different environments, we can run them. In
Okay.
the Spring profiles, we can create a profile like profile dash,
Mm-hmm.
then the profile like local. We are using local, prod,
Okay.
and dev different profiles, and based on the property, it
Mm-hmm.
takes precedence over the property specified in the properties file, main property files.
Okay. Okay. So internally, how does Spring Boot handle dependency management?
How does Spring internally? Okay. So basically, whatever is available on the class path, like dependencies, those are auto configured, and we can
Okay.
disable them. Uh, so this is like overall concept how it is basically like whatever is on the class path, it checks that,
Mm-hmm.
and if it's reachable, it creates the instances like beans of that, which are auto configured for us.
Okay. So you are familiar with Gradle or Maven? Uh,
Uh, I am familiar with both of them, but Maven currently I'm using.
okay. So in Maven, so I think parent form.
Yes.
So I think so Spring Boot handles, I mean, use this parent form uh,
hmm
initially.
hmm
Then yeah, it just provides a set of managed dependencies that we can use in our application.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
We can
So
also
yeah.
check using the Maven dependency tree.
Mm, yeah. Correct. Yeah. And now, how do you integrate Spring Security?
So if we have to use we have to firstly, I usually go to the Spring initializer again, take the security jar from that Spring
Mm-hmm.
security and just add in the Maven POM file. And once I
Okay.
have that, I create a class that
Mm-hmm.
extends web security configure, and then
Okay.
again depends which exactly I want. If I want authorization or authentication,
Mm-hmm.
basically the concept is that revolves around then ant matches and different things.
Okay. Okay. So, can we use Spring Boot? I mean, Spring Boot applications which are not using Spring.
Can we use Spring Batch application which is not using the Spring internally? So, yes, we can use that. Like we have a basic jar.
Mhm.
Um, can you come again? Your question again?
Like, can we use Spring Boot with applications which are not using Spring?
And by that, do you mean to inject the dependencies in the project
Uh, no, I mean
jar?
integrating some other application
Mhm.
in the Spring Boot project which are not using Spring framework.
Yes, we can. Like as long as it should be a jar file, then
Okay.
like any file which is a jar file, we can
Mhm.
integrate that. It is not necessarily needed that it should be a
Okay. So you mean we can add jar file?
correct,
Let's say it's made in Django or any other thing, right?
correct.
Okay. So are there any performance implications when adding Spring Boot to an existing, I mean, to other on Spring application?
Is there any? Mm, I don't think because it's dynamically getting loaded, so there is no as such performance impact.
Okay.
Compile time may be slightly longer, but runtime won't.
Okay. So maybe something happens due to auto configuration feature, some performance overhead.
Sorry, can you come again?
Like I'm saying, maybe there is performance overhead due to its auto configuration features.
Hmm.
I mean, like it's a hint. So,
I'm not certain about that, but I think compilation may be slightly longer, but runtime shouldn't be an issue.
okay. Okay. Yeah. No problem. So, moving ahead, can you please explain REST controller annotation?
So REST controller annotations. So basically, there are two annotation. One is controller. The second one is
Mm-hmm.
REST and controller. So REST controller basically specifies whatever is in the response that we are sending. It
Mm-hmm.
is like it's a payload, JSON payload that's going forward. So we can also
Okay.
specify in the REST controller what exactly. It's not necessary that we have to return the JSON, but we can specify in the parameters the on the REST controller produces, and then we can specify different things like application JSON or XML. So XML will be passed
Mm-hmm.
forward to the endpoint, and
Okay.
the conversion is done by the Spring itself.
Okay. Yeah. Nice. So, what are some common practices for returning different HTTP status code from a REST controller?
So 202xx deals with the state schools like OK, created,
Mm-hmm.
updated, and so on. 300 usually deals with the redirects. 400 deals with the service requests, like
Mm-hmm.
user is not authenticated. If user is not authorized, it is 403. If user is not
Mm-hmm.
authenticated, it's 401. And 400 for 404 service not required, not found, like we are trying to access something that does not exist on the server. 500 deals from the server side if something goes wrong from the server side. If something is wrong with the
Okay.
client side, yeah, it's 400.
Mm-hmm.
Server side is 500.
Okay. So, what would you return the status code if in a delete API and successfully deleted?
For successfully deleted, I think to I think 208. I'm not
Hmm.
certain, but 208 deals with 200. Not able to recall.
Hmm. Okay. And as you recently said, like we can add XML, right? I mean, we can return XML instead of
Mhm.
JSON in the REST API. So, can we return some custom formats?
Yes, we can return. There are like it again depends, but I have dealt
Hmm.
with these two. JSON and XML, but there are
Mhm.
provision for others to also return it. The conversion is basically then we have to
Mhm.
take over how we want the conversions.
So how you return a custom format?
I think in the producers, we have to basically when we have to return a response, it is the
Mhm.
dispatcher servlet is the main in the overall framework, which is responsible for conversions. So I think
Okay.
some component is needed to override, and the conversion logic needs to be there.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And yeah, moving ahead. So what are embedded server available
So
in? Mhm.
embedded servers, there are two embedded servers. If we are using
Mhm.
the Spring MVC, then Tomcat is the default one, and if we are using the Reactor framework, Spring Reactor, then we Jetty is there.
Okay. So how does Spring Boot decide which embedded server to use if multiple options are available?
So in the POM, yeah, like uh, so by default it is built in. If MVC we are using, then it is Tomcat. If we are Reactor we are using, then it's Jetty by default. But again, the Maven works
Mhm.
whichever dependency is found on the POM, it
Mhm.
overrides what is in the parent POM. So yeah, we can override it also, but it is like default is this way.
Okay. Can you provide an example of some of any advanced configuration for one of these servers?
So advanced configurations, uh, mm, advanced configurations. So in case of Reactor,
Mhm.
it's filters like do filters and like
Okay.
if we want to do the authentication, JWT authentication, we have to do the uh, on the filters. But if we are using MVC, uh, Spring
Mhm.
Tomcat, then we have to do it on the dispatcher servlet.
Okay. So how can you optimize the performance of an embedded server, a Spring Boot application? Like what's that you can do?
Mhm. Okay, we can. Actually depends on a lot of things. So,
Mhm.
how can I improve the performance? Performance. Mm, I have no idea. Like we have limited number of threads, we can extend them. Maybe that is one thing that we can do.
What you said, threads.
Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah,
I
this
mean,
is
yeah.
another way. So we can
It
some
again depends if we
adjust
have.
servers specific
Yeah.
settings, like connection timeouts.
Okay.
We can also enable from compression application. Okay, anyways, have you worked with Swagger?
A bit, not remember. I'm not able to recall it right now, but I have worked with Swagger.
Okay, so what it does, uh, why do we use this? I mean, do you know?
So it is basically to make it is like a documentation of our endpoints. It provides us documentation like what each endpoint does, or what it expects, what it returns, what is the status code is, and other things. So we don't have to explicitly write the comments. So Swagger is there. We can provide it to the front end, and they can work on it. So we like it's automated, completely automated. So if we are making any change, we're running our rebuilding our Swagger files, and it's like automatic getting updated.
Okay. So, can we customize a specific auto configuration?
Can we? Yes, we can do so
How?
by like overriding what's provided there, and
Mhm.
like we can add the customization. For example, we have data source now. If we have in-memory database, it's already
Mhm.
there. But if we want to do some other customization, we can make a class adding configuration and bean using the
Okay.
data source and injecting
Mhm.
that one and do further more things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm. Okay. So how would you design transactional method that involves calling multiple databases and a message queue?
How would I configure a? Sorry, can you come again with that
How would
question?
you design transactional method that involves calling multiple databases and message queue?
That involves, okay. So firstly, I will split my method into different like
Okay.
I would add the transaction wherever I'm calling only one endpoint. I'm doing one thing. So if
Mhm.
something fails, it should not put my database in inconsistent state. So
Okay.
I will not put it like on two different database, but rather on one database and one table. And I will try to to go more granular in the details, where I will try to make transaction avoid transaction where I can. In short, so where it's actually needed, I will put it there. So read calls, I will not try to put in
Mhm.
transaction. Write calls, I will try to put in transaction.
Okay. So you are saying something similar, like distributed, you would get distributed transaction pattern.
Mm, yeah, sort of. I have not
Okay.
worked with the with this design pattern, but yeah,
Okay.
sort of.
So, I mean, have you worked on Hibernate?
Yes, I have worked on the JPA. Hibernate
Mhm.
also I'm familiar, but JPA I have worked hand-on experience.
So, do you know the N+1 select problem?
Yes, so we are trying to, for example,
Mhm.
uh, do something, and as a result, there is n+1 queries getting generated for that one simple thing. For example, one of the cases where I found this was I was using a list, and I was trying to delete something, but this list has like it maintains the order. So somehow the GPA was resulting in n+1 queries. So
Okay.
it was trying to maintain, like moving all the elements to the left.
Mhm. Okay. Like, do you know about JSON serialization, deserialization?
Yes.
Can you
So serial,
customize this?
yes, we can customize it. Like Jackson
How?
is the default one that is provided, but we
Mhm.
can override it. So we can have our own customization, but it was not usually needed.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. So, have you worked on WebFlux or
Yes.
can you please give an overview?
So in case of the Tomcat embedded servers, we have limited number of threads. In Tomcat, it's by default 200 threads. But when we're doing some IO intensive operations, we have IO intensive applications. So we run very short, like in short span of time, all the threads. So there is like another thing that's a project reactor that comes. So it introduces the event loop. So whenever we are making a request, it goes in the event and it loops around. So we have like limited number of, we have only 30 or 40 threads, but it's like maintaining it in a optimized way. We don't exhaust threads.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So how do you optimize performance in Spring Boot application when there is a high traffic?
When there's a high, when there's a high interrupt, how would I? Firstly, I will go to the there are two things. Firstly, I have to take consideration: is it a CPU intensive or IO intensive application? If it's a CPU intensive, then there is no way we can just scale it up on the infrastructure level rather than doing the optimization on the code level. But if it's IO operation, if it is IO intensive, then we can firstly go to the netty and specify our like some caches we can put it. And there are a lot of optimizations. It varies from project, but these are overall.
Okay. So let's say you found there is uh, your application is slower in production environment than in development environment. Like what steps would you take?
My application is slower on the production than
Yes, yes.
on the okay
Development, development.
on the dev environment. One of the things that I could easily figure it out is that load. It's like the load is very high of the databases, and then it's in the local environment. So there is something with the transactions. Uh, so I can add the firstly indexing on my databases. That way I can check the performance. If it's not, then I can go to the database sharding. Uh, and also I can install like visual VM so I can
Mhm.
see what's going uh, on my heap and uh, uh, perm space. permission space,
Mm.
meta space, or like how the memory is actually, how much garbage collecting
Okay.
is getting used and how frequently it's getting used.
Mm. Okay. Yeah. So, do you have knowledge on some Java's architecture things like JVM, JDK, or
Yes,
this? So, can you
yes.
please tell me the difference between JVM, JRE, JDK?
So the JDK is the first a big circle one can think of. It
Mm.
contains the JRE, JDK, and
Okay.
JVM. So it contains
Mm.
all the three things. So you can construct your programs, you can run them, you have
Mm.
everything. Now JRE has the virtual machine inside, and it can
Okay.
only run your program. It does not have that JDK part, classes and other things. And virtual machine is responsible for running your Java code. It's not specifically to the any bytecode it can run, whether it's C hash or any
Mm.
Java, it can run that. And
Okay.
we virtual machine is machine independent,
Machine.
and other
Okay, it's
things are
Java
not.
platform, right?
Yeah,
Okay. So, can a Java application be run without installing the JRE?
no, it cannot. So
Like why?
because it needs the runtime, it needs those classes, it needs the java.lang package, which the virtual machine does not have. So JRE provides that jar.
Okay. So, is it possible to have the JDK installed without having the JRE?
JDK install without JRE. I think they can be JDK. JDK without JRE. I think JDK has the JRE, but I'm not sure. But it's possible to install like separately them. JRE is completely different than JDK.
Mm. Yeah, it's possible. Okay, so can you please tell me like what tools are included in the JDK and that are not part of the JRE?
What? Sorry, what goals?
What tools?
Uh,
Did you? Is my voice clear?
yes. So goals, which goals are included in the JDK but not in the JRE? Is that the question?
Yeah. Yes.
Goals. So
Uh,
goal of JDK is to just
no, no. I mean tools, not
Acha, acha.
goals.
Okay, got
Tools.
it. So the tools that are available in the JDK are, I think JShell is provided,
Okay.
and also Java compiler is provided there.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Before Java 21, uh, Java compiler was needed, but after Java 21, this is no longer needed, and it's inbuilt in the Java.
Okay. Okay.
In the JRE, Java is their runtime is only there.
Okay. So what are the memory storage is available in the JV?
So the in the JVM we have I think four storage. One is method area, heap, stack,
Mhm.
and native memory.
Okay. So do you know about young generation and old generation spaces?
So in the like Java is automatically it manages the memory for us, for the
Mhm.
programmers. So we have to manage the memory. So periodically garbage collector has to come and clean the memory.
Okay.
So we have somehow to clean this memory periodically. What we have done, we have just classified it in two categories, and we have come with a philosophy: the
Mhm.
newer objects gets deleted very fast and older objects stay for longer. So we divide the main memory into two parts: old
Mhm.
generation and young generation. And in the young generation, are created and deleted very fast.
Mhm. Okay. So do you know about threads?
Yeah.
Can we start thread wise?
Can we? No. So a thread has a life cycle. It can start, then it can pause. I think a waiting state, then it goes to the termination state, end state basically. So it cannot be started again.
Okay. Mhm. Okay. So can you please tell me the internal working of HashMap and how it was different before the Java 8 and after the
So
Java 8?
whenever we have some object, we try to hash it. We firstly hash it. So based
Okay.
on the hash, we put it in the bucket, and
Mm.
each entry in the bucket contains four things. One is hash, which the second is the key, the fourth one is the value, and the fourth one is the next address. So we have seen in Java 7 and before then, prior to Java 8, that when we have a lot of collisions, we end up in a linear time. So in order to
Yeah.
solve that, we have come up with the idea that whenever there are a lot of collisions, we will, rather than using the linked list, we will use the balanced trees. For example, black red for red black tree.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is only difference.
Okay. So previously it was a linked list, and now
Now
it
it's a
is a
uh,
red flag tree.
yeah, balanced tree basically.
Yeah. Okay. And what were their complexities?
So prior to Java 8, in
Mm-hmm.
the linked list we have big of n. Now it's big of log n on
Okay.
in terms of collisions.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay.
other than that, it is for insertion and deletion. It's big of one.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Got it. So can we print something on console without main method?
Uh, Before Java 1.8, it was possible using a
Okay.
static method, but now it's not. Onwards to Java 8, it's not possible.
Okay. Onwards Java 8 it's not. Mm. Okay. So um, like, can you please tell me the use case of array list, linked list, and hamster?
So arrays is basically needed when we have we want uh, like we have higher access order and we have lower deletions. So linked list
Okay.
we want when we have higher insertions and deletions, but access
Mhm.
order does not matter. And hash set we need when we have large access orders. And like it provides all the three things actually: insertion, deletion, and this.
Nice. And I think this theory part is done. Now I'll give you some one or two coding question. Do you have ID in your system?
Yes,
Yeah. Can you please share your screen?
yes, sure.
Okay, so you are given an array and that contains only one and zero. Okay, so like how your task is to shift the zero into the left side and ones into the right side. So
Okay, so we have something 1 0 and something similar, right?
Mhm.
And we have to move like ones to the left and zeros to right, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Mm, we can do streams and we can do um, uh, collectors dot partition by equals 0. Then we can do values. Then we can do black map. Can do collectors dot string, and we can um, collect sort I think it should work. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, so one more question. Uh, you are given a sorted array,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and you have to uh, remove the duplicate elements in from the array, and you have to just uh,
Okay.
modify the array and return the array
So we have given a sorted array and which contains
numbers.
0, 1, 1, 2, 3. Okay.
And you have to modify the same array
Mm-hmm.
and remove the duplicate elements.
Okay. So I can use two pointers here in this case. Integer group or I and j equal to 0 equals to 1. Less than list size. Array list dot get is less than list get j equals to j. I can continue, but I can mm, j will increment every time. Array list list j j plus array list. mm, So if I have a 0 and 1, they are not equal. So I equals to j, no. Mm, Increment j. 2 pointers I need, but logic is not correct here.
Yeah, no, it's take problem.
So j I equals. I think here it's needed while array equals list dot get j j plus plus. So it's to j, no. Set to okay, I plus plus j plus plus. I think it should work. 1 equals this. It is not correct solution. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 0 it removed.
Yeah, no worries. So just tell your algorithm like what you are trying to do and what's
Sorry.
your approach. Just tell your approach.
So
Then we
basically,
will move
I
ahead.
will use the 2 pointers. I will
Mm-hmm.
put my first pointer here and
Mm-hmm.
mm, the next pointer also here. So I will
Okay.
go to here next iteration. I will
Uh,
assign this variable to it,
okay.
0 to 0. And next
Mm-hmm.
time I will go to 1. I will
Mm-hmm.
check if uh, I have basically compared two variables, this and this, I and
If,
j.
if these
So
are
if
not
these are,
equal,
yeah, then I will not assign. But if these are like equal, like 1 and 1, I have to
mhm.
go to forward then and assign this by this.
So you are very close to the
Yeah,
exact solution, but no worries, it's fine. Uh, I
yeah,
understood.
somewhere in the
Yeah.
conditions.
Yeah. So yeah, now moving to the next question. You are given an array,
Hmm.
okay, that may contain any elements from 0 to any number, okay,
Hmm.
and your task is to shift all the 0 to the right side
Hmm.
and other elements, remaining elements in the right side. Sorry, left side. Zeros
So
in the right side and all remaining elements in the left side.
I can also use the streams, the first one solution here. Uh,
Without string,
okay. Streams, I can all this. Yeah, 2 pointers also will be needed. I can use another array.
uh, no.
Okay. Mm, Array list for teacher loop equals 0. Loop is less than array list dot size plus plus array list dot set loop, and I will create a variable here, integer I equals 0. Array list dot get I. So here I can do one thing, 0. Okay, 0. So while rails dot get loop dot equals 0 loop plus plus. So 1, 2, 2. Um, First few items. So I have moved my elements.
Mhm.
Okay, one, 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 two, three. Mm, While my elements dot equals 0.
Okay, so just tell me your approach only.
I will also use 2 pointers here, and I will assign on my left pointer the right pointer. Like this case, 1. I will like assign this pointer to itself, and like this is 0, so I will move it to here. Then on next iteration, I will move. Okay, I have not swapped actually this, so I will swap them. I will swap them
Perfect. Okay.
0 to 1. Then on this iteration, 0 to 1. And on this iteration, I will move it to here. And on this iteration, I will move it to the last location.
Mhm. I think 2 pointers and swap work
Yeah,
for
so
this.
swap I have forgotten in this approach.
So yeah, right, it's done from my side. And it was a
Thanks,
great
Faizan.
interview. You are having
Thanks.
some amazing knowledge.
Thanks for having me, Faizan.
Yeah.